a McDonald's after he was spotted. Altoona Deputy Police Chief Derek Swope with more on the officer who made the arrest.
He had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently, and that really invoked a physical reaction from the suspect. He became visibly nervous, kind of shaking at that question.
Okay, and we're on the video live stream. Good morning,
Yep.
and welcome to the WSJM video live stream.
Checking my hair.
It's still there.
Make sure it looks okay.
It's still there. And let's see. Would you mind turning that thing off, the TV off behind you, please? I've got computers on the monitor. I almost called it a computer because Google was talking about how they just, I don't know if you heard, they've got a new computer, a quantum computer out that they say can solve problems in just a fraction of time, like 5 minutes or something like that, that could take a classic computer basically the length of the history of time to solve. So think of all the time that's ever passed since the history of the universe. And Google now claims they have a computer that can solve that in maybe 10 minutes. I mean, what questions are you asking it? Number one, why did the chicken cross the road?
And how do you confirm this data?
Well, that's what other companies are saying. IBM and Microsoft and others who are chasing the same goal. They're saying, that's not really true. You're taking the long way around on this stuff.
Also, isn't it getting a little creepy about how much, technology is getting to that point? I mean, AI, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's also that's kind of creepy.
You ever think about phone scams?
I mean, all the time. Not
phone scams. You ever think about identity theft?
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
It's a matter of when.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when. And what my hope is, when there are data breaches and your identity stuff gets out there and it's in the hands of bad actors, you hope you're that needle in the haystack that they just can't find, that they just don't run across to start messing with your stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hoping is technology will move so fast. It's like, just don't worry about me. I'm over here. Don't put the robots on me.
Meanwhile, I'm like, if you're going to steal my identity, can you create this even bigger persona than what I already have?
Big life. A big life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My computer keeps trying to restart over here. We talk about computers being problematic.
And they're now angry this morning.
It's very angry.
Yeah. They're,
Anyway.
Testy things.
Again, it does say that the quantum computing, if they harness that power effectively, it can help with things like medical research. That's a huge one.
Okay, yeah, 100%.
That's a huge one. And so if they can, but I mean, again, to even come up with the questions that would take thousands of years to solve, what in the world?
I mean, how do you verify this though? How do you?
Well, here's an example. Let's say they're running tests on a new drug and they're running 1 million different what ifs or variables or something like that. And so you have 1 million variables on this side, 1 million variables on this side, and then you got to get them together and think about, okay, what are the interactions?
Right.
But that would take somebody in a lab coat 1 million years to figure out. But if you put it into a regular computer, it could start working on those problems. And maybe after a couple of years, I can't do the math, but after a while, it could figure it out. Quantum computing, supposedly, would be able to take care of it lickety-split. Unlike Zach East. Hi, Zach. It's good to see you. I didn't know you were not in the room.
Really?
Yeah. All right, I've got to get to some news. Welcome, Zach East from United Way of Southwest Michigan. It's good to see you.
How do we do what?
Yeah, we'll be right back in just a moment.
Through from Bioptimizers and give your body the magnesium it craves. It's the perfect gift for yourself or a loved one this holiday season. For an exclusive offer, go to bioptimizers.com/radio and use promo code radio during checkout to save 10% and transform your health. That's bioptimizers.com/radio.
WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
It's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg, and I've got guests in the studio. I have Sarah Spoonholtz from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. Also have Zach East from United Way of Southwest Michigan. So we'll be talking with them in just a couple of moments. What kind of coffee did you bring me?
Oh, I brought you Nunya coffee.
A Nunya coffee.
Nunya.
Can I interest you in a cup of Keurig from the hallway?
It's direct from the basement.
Man, this is a rough crowd.
We do have a great coffee service here, Hanson Beverage. We'd like to say thanks to them.
Thank you for that.
Because they are going to provide Ken's coffee this morning.
You're lucky. You're lucky that I have my Ninja coffee canister here. That
That's why I didn't bring
my
you
son
anything.
Stuart gifted me.
I like that color.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's
that cool?
nice.
Kind of matches my sweater, Ken.
Yeah,
Very
it does.
nice.
It does.
What
It's a nice
color
color.
coordinated?
Anyway, I'm trying it.
This is radio, Ken.
I'm trying
Talking
it.
colors.
Well, see, and I've got live stream.
Cameras on.
That's
I've
true.
got the live stream cameras on. So welcome to the 19th century. We've got some weather forecast to talk about, and then some news, and then I'll talk with Zach and Sarah. Mostly cloudy skies today, turning colder. A slight chance of rain and showers. High around 38 degrees today, so it's going to be a fine day. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy, so you're not going to see the Geminid meteor showers, because I know you're going to look for those. 30% chance of snow, a low around 28 degrees. West winds 5 miles per hour. And Wednesday, mostly cloudy and cold. A 50% chance of lake effect snow showers tomorrow for our area. High around 30 degrees, west winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting to 30 miles per hour. The extended forecast as we look at Thursday, it's going to be partly sunny, but those clear skies mean it's going to get cold. A 30% chance of lake effect snow. The high on Thursday around 18, the low around 12. We're going to rebound by Friday, a high of 34 degrees, and Saturday and Sunday and Monday, it's going to be somewhere a high in the lower 40s. So we're still on that weather roller coaster. We'll continue that for the next few days. Some of the news that we're following in the WSJM newsroom this morning: the driver of a semi-truck that was involved in a 17-vehicle pileup on I-94 last week during the winter storms has died. Michigan State Police say the 71-year-old Burbank, Illinois man succumbed to his injuries at a hospital in Grand Rapids. The crash happened on Monday, December 2nd on I-94 in Hartford Township. The crash shut down the highway for several hours. The Van Buren County Sheriff's Department has announced the appointment of a new undersheriff. WSJM's Andrew Green has this report.
Casey Davis started his career at the Van Buren County Sheriff's Department and in 2008 as a road patrol deputy. He was assigned to the Narcotics Division in 2011. During his time in narcotics, the department says Davis worked as an undercover detective. In 2017, Davis was promoted to road patrol sergeant, and then he was promoted again to narcotics lieutenant in 2019. In 2017, he received a life-saving award for saving the life of a Grand Rapids police officer who had a heart attack. The Van Buren County Sheriff's Department says it's a pleasure to announce his appointment as undersheriff and that he'll bring a wealth of experience to the job. The previous Van Buren County undersheriff was placed on administrative leave back in July for an investigation. His employment with the department was later severed. Andrew Green, WSJM News.
The city of South Haven has appointed Kevin Swope as its new police chief effective January 6th. The announcement says Swope brings 26 years of law enforcement experience, most recently serving as police chief in Dearborn Heights. He previously worked as a lieutenant, as a sergeant, as a patrol officer in the Westland Police Department, and holds a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice Administration from Columbia Southern University. City manager Kate Hosier expressed confidence in Swope's ability to lead, citing his experience with diverse communities and strong policy focus. He succeeds Natalie Thompson, who retired in September. And the Niles History Center will hold its annual evening open house this Saturday. Niles History Center Director Christina Arsenault tells us that they decorate the historic Chapin Mansion for the holidays each year and invite the community to come in and take in all the sights.
This is the only time that people can actually see it at night when it's dark out. So the mansion will be open and you can wander through the rooms. We'll have docents and volunteers explaining some of the history behind the mansion. We'll also have some musicians from Michiana Chamber Orchestra playing holiday music so you can come in and enjoy the sights and the sounds of the holidays.
The theme of this year's decorations, Sweet Holiday Memories. Arsenault says in addition to offering a chance to check out the Chapin Museum, the History Center will also have Fort St. Joseph open and available to tour. The event will feature fun for the kids as well.
There's a scavenger hunt and there's a craft for kids to do, so we encourage them to come along. It's a great event for families to do.
Plus, they'll have the gift shop open for those looking to pick up a gift for a loved one. The open house will be this Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m., and the public is welcome to attend. It's 7:10. It's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got some things to talk about here. We've got sports coming up next from Dave Wolf. Should we say a quick hello to Sarah? Can we do that? Is that all right?
I mean, it's fine.
Hello, Sarah.
Good morning.
You ready to go? You want to talk?
No, I'll wait until after
No?
Wolfie. I'm
Okay.
used to it.
We'll wait until after the sports report, and then we'll come back and talk with Sarah Spoonholtz from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. It's coming up next.
Monday Night Football from last night.
What, you don't want to talk?
No, I mean, you know.
She said no. It's like, come into the radio show and you want to talk? No, I don't want to talk.
Well, I was just.
No,
I'll
I'm
wait until
kidding.
after
Everybody who
Wolfie.
works
It's
in
fine.
radio in the past
It's
doesn't want to
fine.
talk anymore.
So we have radio veterans in the studio right now. We have Sarah Spoonholtz from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
On the video live stream. Also have Zach East. Do you ever talk about your other names?
Dave DiPaolo.
Dave DiPaolo.
That's in South Bend.
Is that the only one?
That's the only one.
Okay.
That's the
that
only
we're
radio
aware
name.
of.
Yeah.
That we are aware
It's
of.
the only radio name I've ever
That
had
we're
in
aware
25
of.
years. So.
I love it.
But this is my real name, and I've had to show people my ID.
Really?
Like stopped in the grocery store, people asking me to show my ID kind of
They don't
nonsense.
believe your name is Zach
They don't
East?
believe it's real. It's real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I changed my last name, kept Sarah because, well, yeah. But I changed my last name. It was Matthews when I was on the air.
Why did you change your last name to Matthews?
First and foremost, Spoonholtz, kind of difficult to pronounce. Second off, we're the only Spoonholtz family in Southwest Michigan. So
Oh,
if you like did your research, you would know where I live, and that's kind of creepy.
yeah.
Not that you can't do it now. But it was just like a protocol when I started here, 20 plus years ago.
Mhm.
And people thought I got married.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, hold that thought.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
On WSJM.
It's the WSJM Morning Show, and we've got the video live stream going, by the way. If you miss out on that, you miss out on some fun, sometimes informative, sometimes silly conversations about what's happening in the background here. We're talking this morning with Sarah Spoonholtz from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, and then we'll talk with Zach East. He's from United Way of Southwest Michigan. But Sarah, so you got married? No. No, we were talking about radio names. We were talking about radio. She's a veteran of Midwest Family Broadcasting.
Correct.
And so you used to be known on the air as Sarah Matthews.
Correct.
How did you come up with Matthews?
Honestly, I was standing at the front desk one day and I was bouncing off names with our receptionist at the time. And I was like, well, what if, Boy Meets World was like one of my favorite shows growing up. And it was like, what if I changed my first name too? And I went by Corey Matthews. And I was like, that might be a Disney copyright infringement. Let's not.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, what if I just kept Sarah and went by Sarah Matthews? And that was how she was born.
It really rolls off the tongue. Sarah Matthews.
Yeah, a lot easier than Sarah Spoonholtz, right?
Or Sarah Feeney, I suppose.
Yeah.
Topanga Matthews. There you go.
Reminds me of my one of my first managers in radio. His name was Brian Jennings. Brian Jennings, which is a very common name if you look throughout history, but easy to say.
Yeah.
Easy to say. All right. Well, let's we digress. Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. You're here to talk about things going on there.
Oh my
Ton of
gosh.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
Really excited about your big event coming up this week, but go.
Yeah. So we've got the ribbon cutting for Surf Internet today at 1:00 in Bridgman. It's rescheduled from last Tuesday because Mother Nature.
Oh, yeah.
So if you happen to be in the area, stop by City Hall and join us as we celebrate Surf Internet coming officially into Southwest Michigan with the city of Bridgman. So that is an internet service provider.
Okay.
And then they will have some light refreshments. So we're very much looking forward to that. Again, 1:00 City Hall in Bridgman today.
Okay.
Thursday and Friday, we have our 2-day housing summit.
Yes.
Strong Towns, Escaping the Housing Trap with author Chuck Marone.
Yes.
Very excited about that. If Mother Nature would please keep the snow away on Thursday, though, make me feel a little bit better about things.
I think you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I think
it's
you're gonna be fine.
It's
But
gonna be perfect.
strong towns. I mean, Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. You've pulled this together with others, but Arthur Havlicek, the lead at the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, came in and talked about the strong towns bit and what is going to be happening over that 2 days. It's very exciting. If you missed that discussion, you can take a look at it on our video archive on Facebook or YouTube. But tell us what people can expect at this.
Yeah. So First day on Thursday, Chuck Marone, the author and founder of Strong Towns, is going to come in, going to do a 1-hour book presentation, and then he is going to do a Q&A period, and then an actual signing of the book. So your ticket cost is $20. That's for both days, so $10 per day. It includes a copy, an autographed copy of the book. Also breakfast on Friday morning and lunch on Friday as well. And then Friday morning, you've got the session. So Chuck's going to just do a quick recap, about 30 minutes of the book, just so kind of as a refresher, and for those who weren't unable to make it on Thursday. And then we're going to go into some specific breakout sessions, things like incremental development and housing, zoning ordinance updates, and then parking minimums and requirements for that.
Yeah.
Then we'll do some extra Q&A. If we have additional time, we'll jump into collaboration between organizations and such. And then Chuck does have to be on the road because he promised his daughter that he would be home for all of her senior year dance recitals or games. I can't remember if it's dance or if it's like a sport. Anyway, his daughter is a senior. He promised that he would be home. So he has to be pulling out of the hospital and on the road to Chicago to catch his flight from O'Hare by 1:30. So we will be wrapping up a little bit earlier than we planned, but it'll be perfect and it'll be exciting. And I'm so excited for Chuck to be here.
Yeah.
We're very much looking forward to it.
I mean, it's a focused conversation about the future of the area.
It is 100%. And housing is something that is not just a need here in Southwest Michigan, but it's a need across the entire country. Like if you look everywhere, there's all different types of needs in terms of, low income housing, middle income housing, higher end housing. And there's definitely certain areas in Southwest Michigan where we are missing the gaps, but there's a lot of great people who are coming together who've been having some conversations about this. And this is just another step towards turning those conversations into actual like brick and mortars and builds and providing opportunities for people to move here and live here. Because that's one of the biggest things we've heard is we've got multiple businesses who are hiring people and they can't find anywhere to live.
Yeah.
So then they end up accepting and then they end up saying, actually on second thought, I can't find anywhere
and
to
it's
live.
it's an acute problem, and it's been ongoing for many years. I remember somebody joining when I was still up at the company on the hill over there.
Yeah.
Somebody joined and they were living out in Mattawan. That's where they could find affordable housing to their liking.
Yeah.
Mattawan. And they were commuting every day.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, people are moving to Kalamazoo. People are moving to South Bend. So they're moving completely out of the state.
Yeah.
We've got the new Amazon warehouse coming in just across the state line in New Carlisle. They're going to need housing. So how can we make this welcoming for not only the people who are currently living here in Southwest Michigan, but any new folks who want to come because they realize that Southwest Michigan is such an amazing place to live, work, and play.
For that event, that's Strong Towns, do you still have room for people?
Yes. Tickets closed end of day today. We may extend it tomorrow because there's a couple people who are like, I need to buy my tickets, just haven't done it yet. So if we check the list later and we realize
I'm signed up.
Yeah, he is. He was one of the good ones.
All right.
But there are a couple who are like, okay, can I sign up? When's the deadline? So right now it is a hard deadline of today. We may adjust that to tomorrow and just for a handful of people.
Where do people go for the tickets?
Head to our website, smrchamber.com, and then you can purchase your tickets. Go to the event calendar. You can see everything that's coming up. Again, it's $20. That gets you into both days. And if you can only go one day, you can transfer the ticket to somebody else for the second day.
Okay.
So we're trying to make this as easy as possible. And then while you're there on the website, you can also see all the other great things that we have going on. Saturday is ribbon cutting with the Lincoln Township Public Library.
Yeah, excited about that. It's a great
and then
project.
we go straight to Holiday Village in Bridgman, which is going to be an amazing day. And then our business after hours next Thursday at the Hilton Garden Inn, which takes us through the end of the year.
Fantastic. A lot going on. Where can people exactly. You're pulling your hair out. Where can people get all this information?
Yeah. Follow us on any of our socials. smrchamber.com is our website. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X as well at SMR Chamber. And you should be able to find all the important information there.
Sarah Spoonholtz with the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. I let my computer finally update itself. I stopped arguing with it, and it took this entire interview to get it updated.
Oh, wow.
So
I think it's going to be okay. Exactly. Good thing I didn't need admin rights to update it. Sarah, thank you so much. We appreciate you and appreciate the Southwest Michigan Regional
Well,
Chamber.
thank you. I appreciate you, Ken.
Also, right next to you is somebody who brought you coffee this morning for a bribe.
And he's
Brought
also
you
one of our
coffee.
board members, too.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
part
look
of
at
it. We have a board meeting right after this. So as soon as you and I
That's-
are done talking, I'm darting over to the chamber office
Man.
Yeah.
to sit with Sarah for several
It's-
more hours. So
It's all connected. It's good. Tell us, so Zach East, you're with the United Way of Southwest Michigan,
yes,
So
I'm among one of many thousands of jobs. I have.
director of
Yeah.
sustainability there, basically
Yeah.
keeping the organization sustainable. And so what's happening with you?
I suppose some folks probably think sustainability has something to do with sourcing green products,
Right.
And logistical.
And it does not
things.
in this case.
It does not. What we're really talking about is, people I think commonly always ask, so I'll always tell them pretty much every time we have this segment,
Yeah.
what exactly is it that United Way does? The very simple way to explain it is there is an impact agenda that we put together that's on a 3-year cycle. It's based on a lot of data about what's going on in the 3-county area,
Yeah.
what needs need to be met from childhood education and daycare, all the way to healthy minds and bodies, all the way to dealing with disasters when things happen within our 3-county area. And United Way basically is sort of the fundraising clearinghouse to try to get a lot of those projects allocated and funded through that 3-year cycle for the work that needs to be done by 49 different nonprofits within the area.
So you're the umbrella that is over those 49 groups.
Yeah, we don't own them or run them
Yep.
or anything, but
Funding
we basically
specific.
we just fund them. So really it's the best way to look at how to make an impact with, say, even if you donate $20, it really truly does get spent where it's needed most, where the allocations need to go most. And that's really the thing I think folks need to kind of remember about United Way is it's your chance to donate once and really affect a lot.
Yeah.
So you might have a specific favorite organization, and that's great. You can donate directly to them. But if you're also not sure where the need really is in Southwest Michigan for a lot of other things, because of course there's just tons of things to really look at.
Yeah.
That's where United Way can come in and really help make sure those dollars are being spent. We have a whole staff that just keeps all those impact partners accountable to the money that they are working with.
Because they have to go through an application process
Oh, yeah.
to get under the umbrella.
That's
and
what's happening right now.
And once they do, they have to show, here's the work that we plan to do. Here's the work that we're doing, that we're actually accomplishing.
Correct. And then if there's for some reason a bump in the road, we make adjustments with them. And again, make sure that the real thing that's being accomplished is they said what they were going to do, and they were actually going to help impact an area that's important to wherever they're serving for
Yeah.
Berrien, Cass, or Van Buren County, and the group of people that they're serving, which is hopefully a large amount of people.
We're going to talk today about year-end giving, but can I put you on the spot on ALICE?
Okay.
Because ALICE is an acronym that we throw around, and you've got a commercial actually from United Way that's running on the air right now talking about ALICE.
Yes.
Explain ALICE to the layman, please.
So ALICE is asset limited, income constrained, employed. These are people who are not at poverty or below poverty or anything like that. They are just on the cusp of having one serious, like personal crisis occur, like maybe a major car breakdown.
Yeah.
That really sends them potentially into poverty and of course takes their family with them in some cases.
Yeah.
That's who ALICE really is. It's just an acronym that we use to help describe people who are on that cusp, that a lot of the United Way programs with our impact partners, not only the funded programs we have, but also our impact partners, are really working to keep that audience of people, that group of people, that designation. We want to, of course, reduce that number as much as possible. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic and changes, honestly, within the economy in the last couple of years, that number did go down, just after the pandemic and then went back up.
Yeah.
So, there's that's just the unfortunate part of what we do in terms of data tracking, even just to make sure that, that designation of people actually, goes down. And unfortunately, when those numbers go up, we know we have more work to do to make sure that even more people don't get added to those roles in 2024's numbers.
The groups that are under the umbrella for United Way, how many of them would you say have a majority of clients that fit in that ALICE sector?
Oh gosh, probably. And that's difficult for me to probably pin because our impact team can really look at those numbers. But as part of the allocations that they seek from us, they have to prove that they're affecting that population.
Okay.
So really, technically, it's supposed to be 100%.
Okay.
In most cases, there may be some slight differences there, but again, if you're just talking about making sure early childhood education is covered using programs like our Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, which at the moment is underfunded to the point where we don't even have an ability to take on new students for free books at this moment. No.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's just, again, based on all the conditions of the last 4 or 5 years of, I think everybody just sort of, assumed some stuff would be sustainable and able to survive, but there's a lot of changes that have occurred, obviously, in the last X number of years. And Dolly Parton's Imagination Library actually got very popular.
Yes.
To the point where we signed up so many students, we paid even more than we ever had, and of course need to make sure that we can not only sustain those students who are currently in the program, but try to sign up new ones. So that's really one of our major goals here for the next year, is to make a program like that sustainable.
Okay.
While also making sure other programs that we run directly, like 211, the information service, doesn't ever die. That's a serious program.
You guys do that one?
We do.
Wow.
It's a serious program that requires at least $100,000 in funding every year.
Explain for those who might not know what 211 provides.
The basic, explanation would really be if you're ever in need of any information. It's not an emergency line, obviously, but it does take some urgent questions, which might be, I'm losing my mortgage. I might be losing my house that I'm renting.
Yep.
What are my resources? Where can I go? That's just one of the many
And people can
questions.
dial 211 and find out, okay, here are some of the avenues of assistance that might be available to me.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the 3-county area, and also really throughout the state of Michigan, because United Ways throughout the state of Michigan fund the entire 211 system.
Yeah, we're talking with Zach East from United Way of Southwest Michigan. And for me, Sarah, it's kind of like asking a quantum computer questions, because you're going to get an answer.
Especially when Zach is the one that you're talking to. Yeah.
We're going to come back and talk more about end-of-year giving with United Way, some considerations that you might think about as you're wrapping up your year end. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We've got to get to a couple of news items, the Bloomberg Market Minute, ABC National News, and then also the latest from the WSJM Newsroom. It is the WSJM Morning Show.
Would you call free checking that pays you cash back on purchases unbelievable? No. It's free checking called Thrive Cashback, and it also gives you free ATM access nationwide every month you qualify, with no monthly fees ever.
No, go ahead. You can put your coat on. That's fine. Is it loud? One of those loud coats?
It's not as loud as this thing.
Oh,
I just realized
stop it.
I know.
Stop
I just
it.
realized what I was wearing in front of a microphone.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you, Sarah. It's the WSJM video live stream. I saw something the other day and I refused to read it because it said, for people who hear the noise of other people eating or coats scratching, clothes movement, and it really bothers you, apparently we have an illness.
Yes, it's called mesothelioma. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that.
No, that's entirely different.
No. But
misophonia, I believe.
And I think that was probably put together. That report was probably put together by somebody who eats loudly.
Yeah, somebody who
because
chews
you're
with their
not
mouth open.
You're not supposed to smack your food.
No.
Oh my goodness.
No, that was one of the things that in the first year of dating my husband, I ended up getting a lesson on, that I have a thing where every time I point out to him or to him about somebody else that there's loud rustling noises or chewing or anything like that, that I'm too sensitive.
Oh.
I'm too sensitive.
I don't think that's the case.
No, I think it's just simply manners.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're right, because I sent one of my boys to college, and he, one of the first things he mentioned to me, I won't name which one, because there are two boys in college and they both have friends, and so I don't want to point out which of their friends were doing this. But he said, "Dad, I'm so glad that you taught me to chew with my mouth closed." Because I'm at lunch right now. He's texting me. I'm at lunch right now with somebody and they're chewing with their mouth open.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
It is. It's just, and especially if it's somebody where you're like, I've waited forever to get this meeting with them. I really respect the work that they do. Yeah. And then for some reason, they just are eating like a horse in front of you. I don't like those have been I've lost instant respect for people when that happens. I don't know if that's petty or not.
Well, I know we all come from different backgrounds, for sure. We all come from different backgrounds, but the one thing that I would suggest is we don't have an illness because noises bother us.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just that we're radio people and we're very
Maybe
sensitive
that's
to
it.
every sound.
That could be it.
I was actually just told by my United Way counterparts the other day that they noticed that I hate double negatives. I do not ever have there's a I'm trying
simplify.
You're right. There is no case in which I don't have a radio on in my office all the time.
Okay.
Like I can't work in silence. It's just difficult for me. But it's also coming from 20 years of having worked here.
Sure.
Especially since you and I share
Same
office space
Yeah.
that was out here that's just outside of the big rack of equipment where there's also a big monitor
Yeah.
that plays every radio station
Oh.
24/7.
Yeah.
And so there's always noise out here. So it's just like it's a weird comfort thing, you know? If I don't hear something,
Yeah.
something's off the air.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's exactly what it is.
That's
Is
what you get
if you
taught.
hear silence, it's like, oh no, when is the phone call coming? When is the
Yes.
alarm going to go off? When are the listeners going to be upset that we've let something stop?
That's why whenever one of those home devices, in which I won't name because it'll probably set somebody's off somewhere, when those stop working, usually,
Yeah.
I, for some reason, my radio instinct kicks in and goes, "We off the air? What happened?" No, somebody just said stop somewhere in another room.
And speaking of devices and everything else, the one that you were going to name, which we won't name, Alexa,
Mhm.
for one, that is another way. If you're not near a radio, or if you have one of those devices nearby, you can get your news podcast from Southwest Michigan. Our news source, us, WSJM. You can get that on your device.
Can I listen to you every morning at 5:30 before I start my radio
You
shows
can.
on the lake and the coast?
Do you
at
do
6
that?
a.m. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very
At
much.
5:30, I listen to the podcast, and if it's not posted by then, I get a little disappointed. It kind of ruins my day.
Fridays are the bane of my existence. I'll talk about. Well, I've got 30 seconds here. Okay, so Fridays, whatever it's doing for the weekend to bring
Yeah.
shows in, is clogging up the server that I use for my news stuff. And so I'm doing a newscast. I wait for a soundbite to play, and there's like a 30-second pause. Talk about how annoying that is.
Yeah, no, that's pretty.
Then I have to go through and on it. All right, we got to get back to the airwaves. It's WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got news coming up in just a moment.
Mondelez was exploring an acquisition of the iconic chocolate company. Hershey shares rose about 11%. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
It is the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. 7:32 is the time. Temperature out in Southwest Michigan right now. Benton Harbor, we've got 37 degrees. Same in South Haven. St. Joseph, 38 degrees. Buchanan is 36. Dowagiac recording 35 degrees. The forecast for today, it's going to be fine. Today's forecast, mostly cloudy, turning a little bit colder, just a slight chance of rain or snow showers, a 20% chance of showers coming in. High around 38 degrees today. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy, a 30% chance of snow, low around 28, winds out of the west at 5 miles per hour. And then tomorrow's forecast, this is when we could get some more precipitation. Mostly cloudy and cold tomorrow, Wednesday. A chance of lake effect snow showers, a high around 30, west winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting to 30.
That sounds familiar from last week.
Do you like the sound of the waves when the wind is just constantly?
I have to sleep with a white noise, but thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
I have to sleep with a white noise machine on, so I'm fine with that. But
Yeah.
I'm still picking up branches from last week.
Yeah, they're all over
They're
the
all
place.
I've just found new ones that are also like stuck in the gutters and everything else.
I was talking with somebody the other day about roofs, because we had a new roof put on over the summer. Somebody else had a new roof put on over the summer. And the only thing I was thinking about while that wind was blowing torrentially for 24 hours or whatever it was, is I sure hope there was enough sun to set the roof down.
Yeah.
Because, if they put it up and it's just flapping around until the sun hits it, and then
Yep.
it melts the adhesive. Anyway,
No, there's a whole process.
there's a whole process.
Trust the process, Ken.
Got to trust the process.
It's a sports thing.
I thought it was a bachelorette thing.
It might be too. I don't know.
Thursday's forecast, partly sunny and cold, a 30% chance of lake effect snow on Thursday, a high around 18 degrees and a low around 12. So we're going to get our Michigan weather on Thursday, but then we're going to bounce back and have, I don't know, whatever weather. Friday's forecast, partly sunny and warmer, 20% chance of rain snow mix on Friday, mainly late, but the high is going to be up around 34 degrees. Still looking at a low Friday around 13, so we'll have some of those cold temperatures hanging around. We've got news from ABC coming up next, and then our WSJM newsroom, and then we'll have the latest from Dave Wolf for sports. It's right here on WSJM.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Luigi Mangione facing a second-degree murder charge in New York in connection with the fatal shooting of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare Insurance Group. ABC's Lana Moise says Mangione was found with a fake ID and other evidence in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Police say he also had a 3D printed silencer and a 3D printed ghost gun, which is untraceable with no serial numbers, as well as a 3-page document which sources say mentioned United Healthcare by name and included the quotes, "These parasites had it coming, and I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done."
Mangione will be extradited to New York. Streams of refugees who have been forced from their homes in Syria amid the civil war are now returning to the country, the rebels continuing to rejoice the toppling of President Bashar Assad's government. More than 2,000 homes under mandatory evacuation orders as a fire continues to burn near Malibu, California. This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
Taking a look at some of the news that we'll be bringing to you at 8 o'clock from the WSJM Newsroom. St. Joseph City Commissioners have approved a tax abatement for a boutique hotel project downtown. At their regular meeting last night, commissioners created an obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act district consisting of just one property, 500 Main Street. That's the former Carnegie Library in St. Joseph that was most recently used as office space. It's now going to be turned into a boutique hotel, complete with a speakeasy planned inside, which is kind of cool and chic. So we'll talk a little bit about that at 8 o'clock this morning. Whooping cough is on the rise statewide, and we have a few confirmed cases in Berrien County. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. And the Lincoln Township Library, we talked about it with Sarah Spoonholtz a few minutes ago from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. The Lincoln Township Library getting ready to celebrate the completion of their renovation project and doing a ribbon cutting coming up this Saturday. Those stories and more coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We'll hit those at 8 o'clock this morning. Back with our interview with Zach East from United Way of Southwest Michigan in just a moment to talk about year-end giving, some ideas you might keep in mind. It's coming up right here on WSJM.
The Michigan News Network.
I'm Beth Fisher. The west side of the state is bracing for...
How'd you do with the snows?
Gosh, I don't know how old my snowblower is, but it's got to be at least 20 years old.
Oh,
thankfully, it's got an electric start that you could just plug in a thing and
I love those
you
things.
push a button and it goes,
yeah,
tries to, sounds like it's eating something when it starts up, but it managed to fire right up, even though I left cruddy gas in it from earlier in the year and forgot to drain it. Yeah, I don't know how I got that lucky.
In my opinion, gas never goes bad unless it coagulates.
Yeah, well, this has an oil mixture in it because it's
a two-cycle.
It's a two-cycle, smaller, older one. But it's one of these Toro beasts that they made back when
they made stuff good.
They probably couldn't get by with emission standards on this thing anymore, because when it starts up, it's just like
the snowblower is the ozone.
Well, and I've got every time that I use it, I always have to wear clothes that I don't mind getting two-stroke smell, motor oil.
I love that smell.
It reminds me of riding a moped back in college. That thing was terrible.
What color was your moped?
Yellow.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We actually, my husband and I still have a collection of yellow and red Honda mopeds.
Do you really?
We do.
That's cool.
They're somewhat functional. I probably have to go clean the carburetor on them.
Do you ever think about those Italian, they're not mopeds, but they're Italian scooters?
Scooters, yeah.
Yeah. You ever think about expanding your collection to get those?
Well, we've got a lot of the stuff that we have, which we probably need to do something with because we haven't used them in a little while.
Yeah.
Are mostly Hondas.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a Honda scooter, a Ruckus is what it's called. It's kind of the thicker,
those are funny,
bigger Yeah, they've got a big wheel tire
Yeah.
of sorts. It's kind of weird, but
Yeah.
those are pretty fun. But I haven't actually didn't get the chance to use one this year.
Yeah.
Because we usually use them up in Grand Rapids. But nearly every friend we know that rides a moped or a scooter have
Yeah.
all been getting hit by cars.
Oh no.
So we were like, maybe we'll take the summer off.
Yeah. You know why that is?
Well, texting and driving, probably.
Well, I mean,
don't know.
I think that's a big part of it is the texting and driving, but I think what's also happening out there is the cars. Everyone has an SUV now.
Yeah.
Everyone has an SUV, and so the sight line off the SUV is a lot different than in a passenger car.
That's true.
You're
You and I are the only people that have cars left. it
Right?
seems.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm afraid they're going to stop making cars by the time I'm ready to get a new car.
It's almost going that way. Yeah.
But no, the SUVs, they said pedestrians, motorcycles, anything that has that lower profile to the earth is getting nailed by some of these things. So yeah, I didn't get out on the motorcycle this summer either. I think when I was ready to do it, it was way too hot, and you dress up you got your leather jacket, and you got to wear jeans and boots and all that. So it adds another 10 or 15 degrees to your temperature. But there are a couple of days this fall I thought about getting it out because it's just gorgeous out there.
Yeah, it is easier to ride in the fall, but it's then you've also got weird stuff like slippery leaves that show up every once in a while.
Yeah, that's
I've
a big
had
one.
that.
We can make excuses all day long. It's 7:41. We have 19 minutes before 8 o'clock. So we should probably talk a little bit more about United Way of Southwest Michigan. Some of the end of year giving thinking. We can introduce this topic now, and then when we get back on the radio, reintroduce. How's that work?
Mhm.
Okay. So end of year giving. What do you want people to keep in mind around that?
Well, every organization or towards the end of the year is certainly going to ask you to think about end of year giving. We obviously are no different. We have goals that we're trying to make, but a lot of our goals, as we sort of said in our prior segment here, is to try to make sure that organizations throughout the community who have asked us for funding are actually getting what it is that they were allocated, because that's almost what it comes down to. We're not necessarily just always funding the goals that we need to reach for the future. We're still trying to make sure that money comes in for things that were allocated now.
Oh,
that's the double.
So there's not just like a big pot of money just sitting there.
Well, I mean, what you want to do is not dip into reserves.
Right.
You don't want to dip into investments. You don't want to do any of those kind of emergency fund dips, because then you'll just get used to doing it, and eventually you want to have an organization.
Right.
Any business owner can tell you that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but what you really want to look for, again, is part of the reason I'm in this position of sustainability, is making sure that a lot of the programs, but also the things we do, even just for workplace campaigns, has a level of sustainability that covers what we promised our nonprofits that they could be allocated for funding for X, Y, or Z project. And that's I think part of what's difficult to sometimes explain to people about how United Way works, is you're not just funding the future, you're also funding the current.
Yeah.
So it can get a little bit difficult, especially if there's been, honestly, we all know there have been changes that have happened in this community with major employers and small employers as well, much less people's personal finances. Those changes obviously also affect everything all the way down the line, including nonprofits who are trying to do, work in the community.
Yeah.
And so trying to make sure all those things that were promised to be funded for this year, those promises that we made to those organizations occurred in the last 3-year cycle. That was 2 years ago. So again, that's the promises of 2 years ago still have to be fulfilled now.
Stuff in the pipeline has
Yeah.
changed. Yeah. Okay. You were talking a little bit about, and we'll revisit the end of year giving when we get back on the radio too, but you were talking a little bit about the Dolly Parton Imagination Program.
Yes.
And for those who don't know what that is, can you just give an overview, please?
Yeah. So forgive me because I don't have the exact age in which kids are eligible, but it's basically a free books for kids that they get in the mail, just sort of randomly, thanks to Dolly's selections that she makes of these children's books that get delivered to kids for years.
Yep.
Once they get signed up in the program, which was free based on our funding, they end up in the program for years, and eventually they age out, obviously. but they get free books in the mail as it's just like this present, this great gift.
Yeah, it's like pre-K up through the early elementary grades, and it's an opportunity for you get a new magazine of the month, you get a new book of the month, or whatever, however the frequency is, and it's an exciting time to read a new story that you might not otherwise be exposed to, helping the outcome, which is improving literacy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, which
and
is great.
Imaginations and just everything down the line. Just think about
imagination. Who cares about that? It's a literacy, man. No, that you're right. You're right, because it exposes you to something you might not have read. And Dolly Parton, she can't do wrong. She's great.
Well, here's something simple to think about that you and I can relate to. We, of course, grew up reading comics in the paper.
Yep.
If the paper is not part of a child's life the way it might have been for you and I, and they're mostly using, let's say they're watching YouTube to watch a lot of these shows and things. Obviously, it's a
they're not
different
getting exposed to it at all.
No, they're not getting exposed to the spoken word.
Hang on 1 second, Zach. We'll be right back on the WSJM Morning Show.
Continuing to Thursday, turning frigid. Highs Thursday in the upper teens. I'm WSBD 22 meteorologist Jessica Burns.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
We're so it's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning, Ken Lundberg here. 7:46 is the time. Visiting here with Zach East from United Way of Southwest Michigan. And Zach, you were talking a moment ago about Dolly Parton's Imagination program, and that's something that is you facilitate that through United Way of Southwest Michigan.
Yes, it is actually a funded program of ours. And normally throughout the United States, there are many different kinds of organizations that fund Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. They could be actual libraries.
Yep.
A lot of them are intermediate school districts or Berrien, like a RISA type setup, the way that we have in Berrien County. But United Way of Southwest Michigan occasionally puts together these Dolly Parton programs in communities. And we covered the 3-county area for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library.
And that is a program that brings elementary schools, sometimes pre-K through young elementary, a new book on a frequency where they get something in the mail. Mm-hmm. It's a great book. It spurs learn how to read. And you brought up a really fascinating point, which is it used to be in our day and age, we could go through, we got the daily newspaper or we got the weekly newspaper, whatever. And if you were like me, and it sounds like you were, you basically went to the back section where the comics were.
Yep.
And then eventually you started filtering to other pieces of the newspaper. Maybe you read the sports, maybe you read the arts, something like that. And you grew organically your reading. That doesn't happen today.
No, not necessarily, because even just as I watch other people's kids, like, nieces and nephews, cousins, whatever, they're going straight to YouTube and watching those shows and things. And not to say that there aren't subtitles and stuff like that on it, but the everybody knows the magic of just cracking open a book, especially the idea that book is yours. It came in the mail with your name on it.
Yeah.
From Dolly Parton. I mean,
it doesn't get much better than that.
Kids just light up over that.
Yeah.
And it pains me sometimes to think about the fact that I'll be honest, we started this program. It became incredibly successful. We signed up a lot of students. And as you and I have been talking about on the behind the scenes camera version of what we've been talking about this morning, when we fund a lot of things, we're not only funding the future of what happens at United Way, but also the things that we committed to years ago.
Yeah.
And that includes all these students who are in the program.
So Dolly Parton Imagination Program, the Imagination Library, is one of those programs. And as people are thinking about their year-end giving, how can they get involved with United Way of Southwest Michigan?
So there's a lot of easy ways. And if you're inclined to read more about the work that United Way does in the 3-county area, there are plenty of resources. In fact, we just published our annual report with lots of great insight on all the areas in which we impact, plus the programs, even a listing of all the different hundreds of companies throughout the 3-county area that do workplace campaigns to help United Way of Southwest Michigan. Whirlpool Corporation being our biggest one. They stage a massive campaign every year that is just phenomenal, and are in some cases are kind of the model for other United Ways. We actually teach other United Ways in Michigan what Whirlpool does to put a campaign together for United Way. So getting back to your question, The website is uwsm.org.
Oh,
it's as
that's
simple
simple.
as that.
Yeah.
But the other thing you can do is if you want a little link to look at your donation options, you can very simply text United is the Way to 41444.
41444. So if you text that number with United is the Way, what do you get?
You get a link back that will give you a donation form, but it'll also give you a chance to get further updates from us in the future about the work that we do. But really, the website is the best resource. It's got a donation link there,
Yeah.
of course. But what it really has is just this massive amount of data. If you're a data person and you want to read data, we
Yep.
got data.
Absolutely.
If you want to simply see a bunch of pictures and videos about the success stories of the people that are affected in this area, we got those.
Yeah.
And we have things as simple as even just reading the overview page, where if you missed my little explanation on what United Way does, you can read that little paragraph and give you a good idea. But we just want to make sure people are well educated, because again, as you and I said, sort of in the behind the scenes conversation, the work that United Way does not only funds what's going on for the future and the things that we hoped to change in our community, but it's also making sure that the things we promised to work with our funded partners to do for the future is actually stuff from the past.
Keeping those commitments.
Yeah, keeping those commitments, exactly. And we can't do that without having sustaining levels of funding for programs like 211, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. Heck, there's even a program that folks maybe don't hear about that often. Our VITA tax preparation service is already gearing up to start, of course, at the beginning of next year, where that's free income tax preparation for folks who meet a certain threshold. We have helped return almost, it's been over $1 million every year in refunds for folks in the 3-county area just from that tax prep program.
That's pretty good. Over $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's hundreds of people across the 3-county area. And we're talking about going to small pockets of, towns, not just to set up shop in St. Joe and have everybody come to us kind of thing. This is groups of volunteers who assembled to just come through and sit down with folks and talk about how to, help them with their taxes. We get that deep into the effect that goes on within the community.
That's amazing.
I know.
All right, we will talk. We'll conclude this interview in just a moment with Zach East. He's with the United Way of Southwest Michigan, and we're talking about year-end giving, some things that you can keep in mind, and some of the great programs that they support through their umbrella agency. That's going to come up in our Moody on the Market update in just a moment, right here on WSJM.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends.
You ready for the holidays?
No.
Well, we've got, I don't know how this happens. We got the short year this year.
Yeah. Husband and I looked at each other yesterday and went, so are we just not getting each other any? I mean, I did get him something. I bought him a washer.
Oh, you bought him a washing machine.
Yeah.
That was nice of you.
Well, it was from our Whirlpool appliance sale for United Way. So
oh, yeah.
That's part of it. Every once in a while.
I bet he really appreciated that.
Well, it's more like both of us appreciate it. But it was, I have a weird living situation. He lives in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
I live here with a roommate in my house here in St. Joe.
Oh, you have a roommate now?
I do.
Okay.
And I love it. It's this way I don't have to drive constantly, and I can stay in the community where I belong to do the work that I need to.
Your dog's, it's not your dog, is it? Your roommate?
No.
Okay.
My dog is she owns the house, actually.
Okay.
Her name is on the mortgage and the deed. Damn it, Ken, make me lose my train of thought.
That's okay.
The washing machine thing is one of those you're trying to pull people into the future and make them realize, hey, that thing that you have that's 20 years old in the basement that makes incredibly weird sounds when it starts up.
Yeah.
Maybe we should think about replacing that. That's what that conversation was. But thankfully, he's driving a bus right now and won't know that I'm talking about him at the moment on
what kind of
camera.
bus?
He drives for the municipal system up there.
Okay.
And trains new drivers.
Oh man.
Yeah, for a person like me who has high anxiety, that's not the job for me.
Yeah, no
it's
kidding.
for him. It's
I could not
me.
imagine that. I could not imagine that. That's amazing. He
Yeah.
must have a lot of patience.
He has more patience than I have, that's for sure. But I think once the workday is done, he definitely doesn't have patience for my nonsense. So that's for sure.
That's great. That's great. How has the environment been for United Way of Southwest Michigan? How has it been for nonprofits generally? Not only in our Southwest Michigan area, but overall. How has it been since the pandemic?
I think the best way to describe it is people need more tangibility to how their dollars make an impact. Sometimes it's really hard for us to, especially when times are difficult for anybody, but especially difficult with the economy being the way it is, plus maybe your personal situation, or even potentially being a person who could utilize some of the resources that we have at United Way or through some of our funded partners, where you sometimes go, well, what is my $20 going to do?
Hang on one second. I'll let you finish that thought in just a moment. We got to get back on the air.
Okay.
FM Benton Harbor, St. Joseph. Depend on us. The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
It's 7:55. About 4.5 minutes before 8 o'clock, where we'll get the latest world and national news from ABC. That's our hard stop, by the way. 8 o'clock. Got to go live to the satellite.
I don't know what that's like, given all my music radio history here, Ken.
Moody on the Market. It's time for the update from Moody on the Market. It's brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. We talk about things on Moody on the Market during the update. We talk about life in Southwest Michigan and why we love it here. We talk about business updates, and we also talk about important people, interesting people that you should know. One of those interesting people is Zach East. So thank you for joining us this morning, Zach, and talking to us about United Way of Southwest Michigan. We were talking on the video live stream a second ago about the climate for nonprofits in general, not only in Southwest Michigan, but across Michigan, across the nation. And you said people are really looking for tangibility. They want to know that their investment in a nonprofit such as United Way is going somewhere, doing something, doing some good. How are you weathering kind of the transition of economies and post-pandemic and everything else, and that?
I think the easiest way that we do it is what we saw, especially in this last year, which is that people want to be super involved in their community directly.
Okay.
So the biggest, was Rake a Difference.
Yes,
which is the thousands of it's like 1,300 volunteers that get together to do raking across the 3-county area,
helping senior citizens who can't get out and do it themselves and don't have the resources to hire a service to do it. United Way coordinated that, and
it took, if you can believe it, it's pretty much 2 people on staff and a volunteer, and it's like an airport, control tower. Like they just sit down and do nothing but try to match seniors and teams, and then they do it 1,000 times over again if there are any changes. And it's just a great group of people who are trying to help this 400 some group of seniors, and of course the need grows every year. But what we see is that people have become more enthusiastic about that ability to affect their communities directly by getting involved in those sorts of projects. Rock the Boat was another great example. We brought that event back after Whirlpool Corporation used to use that as part of their campaign. They ran it in years past prior to the pandemic. It was such a massive success. There were always thousands of people who attended that cardboard boat race. We brought that back this year and still saw this really just hyper engaged group of people who said, I might not be able to give $1,000 to United Way, but darn it, I can take my time and put it towards something useful and volunteer and raise a couple bucks to put a boat in the water and have some fun and tell the story of what we do. And that's still just as valuable.
And it's available through organizations like United Way of Southwest Michigan. Zach East has been joining us this morning to talk about that and talk about year-end giving opportunities. Basically, you want some more money. So how can people do that?
Well, I'm going to find your wallet in your office while you're sitting in here on the air.
Okay.
And really, again, uwsm.org is the website. And we've had several mottos over the years. Live United is one.
Yep.
United is the Way is our new brand that's kind of come out through United Way Worldwide.
United is the Way.
Yes.
Okay.
So as you say, if I need help in this area, well, United is the way to help you do that. We have a volunteer program that can connect you with a lot of opportunities. That's just one of the ways to use United is the Way.
UWSM.org
Yes.
for United Way of Southwest Michigan. More information. Zach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ken.
We appreciate you. That is our Moody on the Market update for this hour, brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. Are you through the break-in period yet for the new washing machine?
Actually, we have to install it this weekend.
Good luck with that.
Thanks for the reminder.
Great excuse to do some more laundry. How fun is that? It's 7:59. We've got ABC News coming up now, and then we'll have our local news from the WSJM newsroom next. Thank you and good morning. It's 8 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Zach. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Ken.
you. Yeah, absolutely. This worked out. This is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to go jump on a chamber board meeting call now.
Okay. Tell the chamber we say hi.
I was going to go there directly, but I think I'm just going to stay here because I need to be on the
Oh, that's
air
right. Was
after
I
it's
supposed
over.
was I supposed to get you out of here early? I'm sorry. You should have reminded me about
No, that's okay. I was never going to make it on time
Oh.
anyway.
that. I was never going to make it.
Because some Benton Township cop was going to pull me
Yeah,
over
don't
with the
do
speed
that.
that I usually drive.
Don't
So
do
I
that.
won't say that. Wait, I did say that loud. Okay,
All right.
never mind.
Hey, thank you everyone for joining us. Good morning, Teresa, John, Bill, everyone, Diane, everyone else who always joins us. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.